Have you been accomplishing a lot of great stuff at work and you still feel underappreciated, or you feel like your boss just isn't acknowledging the great stuff that you're working on? In this video, that's exactly what we're talking about. We're going to talk about what can you do if you feel underappreciated at work. Now, I want to put this out there at the beginning of this video. If you are watching this video with the intention of manipulating someone into giving you accolades, that's not what we're going to be talking about. Because the reality is, if you're being underappreciated at work, if you feel like someone's not acknowledging you, you can't force other people to acknowledge that you've done something really great. But instead of talking about manipulation, we're going to talk about what can you do if you are feeling underappreciated. Step one is to identify the problem. A lot of times if you're feeling underappreciated, it's not just because your supervisor didn't say good job. It's nice to hear that, but a lot of times external validation from our employers or from our coworkers lasts maybe a week. Like, you get that sort of adrenaline or dopamine hit where you're like, yeah, I did something really great, and then it wears off. So what is the real problem with your feeling underappreciated at work? Your boss might be able to tell you today, hey, you did a great job, and you might still be feeling underappreciated. So here are a couple examples of common reasons that people feel underappreciated. Is it a lack of recognition or acknowledgments for your effort? Is it too much criticism from colleagues or supervisors? Are you having too many responsibilities with not enough resources? That's a really big one. Or is it something else entirely? There's a lot of different reasons why someone might feel underappreciated. It might be, again, the lack of acknowledgement. It might be the fact that you are asked to do too much with too little. Or it might just be the fact that you're constantly being critiqued and criticized without that external positive validation. Step two is to plan small habitual changes. One of the things that I always like doing if I'm getting into a slump and I'm feeling underappreciated is actually building out some sort of roadmap or plan of incremental things that I can do for myself throughout the day to make myself feel better. So for me, I actually really enjoy being up and walking around. So my, get up, go outside, take my dog on a walk, all these different things, or go to Target or whatever, whatever your habitual change looks like. But for me, my habitual change is, okay, I've identified that the problem is if I'm not active, if I'm not physically active, it leads to me feeling sad, underappreciated, undervalued at work. So what I do is I create little moments, and I actually schedule it in my calendar. I'm pointing to my computer. I schedule it in my calendar 30 minutes a day, within every couple hours, to be able to go out and take a walk. And all my teammates and all the people I work with know that I do that as well. So put together whatever your plan looks like. It might be a change in your schedule. It might be a change in how you work with other people. It might be a simple conversation with your supervisor to say, I want to build in 15 minutes every meeting that we have to talk about what's working. Whatever that looks like for you, but build out kind of that habitual and start very small. What are the incremental things that you can do to kind of build on and make you feel like you're being appreciated? Step number three is to create opportunities for happiness. Not every part of your day needs to be work. You can have, sometimes there's projects that you can work on that are exciting to you, that make you want to do more, that you get lost in. Sometimes I get hyperfixated on the weirdest things. I just did a data project the other day, and I'm not huge into Excel, but I was working on this data project and I spent 3 or 4 days on it, but every time I was working on it, I was like so hyperfixated. I was loving the work that I was doing. And that was a project that I created based off of a conversation with my supervisor. So those are things that you're able to do if you have projects that you are working on. You can actually say, I like working on these types of projects, and start focusing your effort and make sure, have your conversation with whoever you need to have it with, but focus your energy and your conversations on the projects that bring you happiness. So those are really good ways to feel fulfillment too in your role if you're feeling underappreciated. Step number 4 is to engage socially. If you're feeling unfulfilled, if you're feeling unappreciated, one of the things that you want to do is make sure that you are having conversations, direct conversations with your supervisor, and say, hey, I want to start, and you don't have to say I'm feeling underappreciated, but you can just say, hey, can we build in more time to talk about the things that are working well? Because I want to know from your standpoint what's effective, what's not effective, however you want to, whatever business jargon you want to use to get that point across. But having that conversation with the supervisor. The other thing that you want to do is when you engage socially, you want to make sure that you are building a network of your peers. And I know a lot of YouTubers talk about how your coworkers shouldn't be your friends, and how you shouldn't trust everyone, and how you should always be on edge. My viewpoint on that is you are allowed to have friends at work. You're allowed to trust the people you work with. And if you find people that are within your network or within your team that you can trust, those people you can engage with socially and just say, hey, I'm really feeling bummed today. Can you give me some, give me something to work off of, or give me some positive vibes, or, like whatever, however you want to phrase it. But you're allowed to build those social networks and those social communities within your network, within your company, to make sure that those people are allowed to weigh in and tell you that you're doing a great job too. But you can't just go to a coworker who you haven't built a relationship with and say, hey, give me some positive feedback. You can do that with a coworker that you have a strong working relationship with, who you can trust and who you actually have those conversations with. But you want to make sure that you engage with those people socially and start building your network in your company to make sure that you have those people that you can rely on in those moments of feeling underappreciated or undervalued. And the last thing that you want to do, step number 5, is give positive kudos to other people. One of the things that is contagious, and I've seen it happen in a lot of different organizations, is giving other people positive feedback. You don't always have to be the one receiving that positive feedback, but a lot of times if you give positive feedback to people, at least this has been in my experience, if I give positive feedback to people, seeing them light up and be able to talk about their projects and how excited they are to work on something means a lot to me, because I'm able to, I get more benefit out of that because I feel happy for them and I feel excited and all this stuff. I feel fulfilled when I'm able to give people kudos for doing a good job. If you're able to start doing that within your workplace, it makes it actually really contagious. So those people who you've made, you kind of put them in a good mood, they're going to start spreading that to other people and other people and other people. And eventually that will circle back to you. Not that that's the reason that you would do it, but just to be able to provide that positive feedback, to spreading that positivity and spreading that acknowledgement in your workplace as well. If you've seen that your company is really unhealthy, or if you've seen that these tips that I've provided might not be helpful, this video is actually going to be a good stop for you to see if there are some other underlying company issues that you won't be able to address.